Hey everybody, this is Caring for the Community, and this is actually a series about being unapologetically Black and healing in our community. And this is an opportunity for this group to share some of their experiences, to learn from each other, and to create a new sisterhood. Y'all, I look around and I have some not only familiar faces, but I have some friends on this phone call, and I already shedded a tear before we got started. But with the fellas, I wore a shirt. But for y'all, I had to go bring out a piece. All right. So this piece says, be brave, reach, live, fly, be you, overcome, grow, and have fun. And that's what Black women leaders do all the time. And I stress to you guys that we're going to continue to do that. So I want these beautiful ladies to go ahead and introduce themselves, but I'm going to start this out just like I did with the fellas. It's been a week since we've heard of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud, George Floyd, and several other names before them. But a week since we have dealt with racial tension, where we have dealt with also COVID, where we have seen tornadoes in our area. But this week has been a different week for us as professional women, for us as wives, for us as mothers, for us as sisters. So how do you feel? Give me one word of that emotion that you feel and tell us your name, and you can tell us who you are, all right? And we got 12 dynamic ladies on the line. Going up first, Miss Shawana Kendrick.
Good evening, everyone. Shawana Kendrick, I'm with the DA's office, but more importantly, I am a child of God. I'm a mother. I am a daughter. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. And the one word I think that would best describe how I feel right now in this moment is fearless.
Elizabeth Williams. There you go.
For a moment, the word was going to be frustrated. But actually, in this moment, I'm inspired. I'm inspired by the way I see our young people in particular rallying and being unapologetic about their agenda and making a change.
All right. Yvette Stewart.
Good evening. I am a new Chattanoogan. I've been in the city for a little under 2 years. I'm a North Carolina native. What brought me here is I'm currently serving as a director of elementary schools for Hamilton County. And my word for this evening is poised.
All right. Valerie Armstrong.
Hello and good evening, my beautiful sisters. So my word, and it aligns with kind of your theme for the series here, Donna, is unapologetic. At this point in time and where we are and everything that we're dealing with, I don't have any reason to hold back in regards to what I'm feeling, and being very blunt and candid in that respect. So I'm unapologetic.
Right.
A little bit about me. I am with American Water, and I'm Vice President of Government Affairs and Regulatory Affairs for that company. So I get involved in the political space each and every day. So I'm kind of living and breathing this conversation around COVID and the political atmosphere across the country, and looking forward to our dialogue this evening.
All right. Erica Roberts. I feel like I should do this.
Hey y'all. I'm Erica Roberts, a local poet and creative strategist. And I guess a word for me is I feel very protective of my brownness. Very protective.
Robin Stearns. Thank you, Erica.
Hello, everyone. I'm Robin Stearns. I work for the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, the School of Education. Born and raised here in Chattanooga my whole life. Right now, I'm gonna have to be honest and go with my words that I've been feeling, and I am slightly angry. Still angry right now.
All right. Going over, passing the baton to Dion Jenkins.
Hi, I'm Dion Jenkins, Vice President of Diversity and Inclusion for Tennessee Valley Federal Credit Union. And right now I feel proud. I have loved watching our people just rally behind this movement and really put forth the effort that's been needed and saying what's needed to be said and being unapologetic and being fearless and everything else. So I'm just proud right now.
Thank you. The young one of the bunch. I always got to have a diverse perspective. That's Miss Brianna Garza. Brianna.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to wave at everyone. Everyone looks so beautiful. I am the co-founder and owner of Chat Taste Food Tours. And how I feel is, to describe how I feel, I would say encouraged. For the first time in my life, I feel heard. And I don't feel ashamed of feeling the way I do. I feel that people are embracing things that we didn't truly talk about. I don't think we're done. I think this is the tip of the iceberg. I think that we need to have more conversations about how we can elongate and make this movement meaningful and impactful. So I feel encouraged, but mostly I feel heard for the first time in my life.
Oh. Angie Nguyen.
Hello, everybody. My name is Angie Nguyen, and I have a dual career. I'm a physical therapist in the local hospital, and I'm also a licensed pastoral counselor. And my word is expectant. Anytime there is difficulty, there is an opportunity for change, which comes through growth. And I think that everybody that's either directly involved or witnessing what's happening is just primed for growth and change. So I'm expectant or expecting that there will be much of that in all of our community, for sure.
Thank you. Alexis Willis.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, I did the lean in thing, Donna, sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. Just lean back.
Hey, so my day job is running the largest incubator in the state of Tennessee. I'm getting bombed by my little 2-year-old. I'm also a single parent of 2 kids, 12 and 2, connector, and I'm founder of Natural Beautiful Me and also known as the Startup Maven.
All right.
Oh, and my word is brazen.
All right. Oh, Shawani Baptiste.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shawani Howard Baptiste. In the daytime, I serve as an associate professor at UTC in the Department of Health and Human Performance, and recently as the interim program director for the Masters in Public Health. So last week, if you had asked me this, I would have said tired. But today, looking at the screen and seeing all these beautiful Black women, I feel hopeful and present.
Thank you. Last but not least, LaQuisha Ewing.
Good evening, everyone. LaQuisha Ewing. I am a philanthropist, entrepreneur, on a consulting firm, Unlearn Everything and Live, where we specialize in group dynamics, racial reconciliation, and organizational strategy and design thinking. I'm a co-founder of We Over Me, Chattanooga, and some other things. And so I think everybody's word has been my word at least 1 hour, probably today. But if I had to pick a word at this very moment, it would be humane. I actually feel like I'm kind of in this place of just connecting with people. I've gotten a little bit, Robin, past the anger, just a little bit. I'm like probably on your heels. but you know, past the anger, past the hurt and the fear and the worry. And I'm at a place of humanity right now, just like how, you know, and I want to stay here because it helps me see things a little bit more objectively. So I would say my word is humane.
Thank you. And I was, as I was listening to everybody, I agree with you, LaQuisha. I'm like, I have been unapologetic. I haven't been brazen yet. That, you know, that was a really good one. But it's coming, I know. But angry was my word. I think Val heard me a lot. Elizabeth heard me a lot. LaQuisha heard me a lot. By the time I probably started talking to Angie, it calmed down a little bit more. And one of the questions I just want to ask you guys, and I'm going to take a deep dive right into it. What does it mean to be a Black woman in Chattanooga? And what does it mean to be a Black woman in America?
I have an answer for that. Yeah, I think it means that we have great opportunity. We have opportunity to dig wells that have not been dug before. I think we have opportunity to give life to things where there was no life before. I think we have opportunity to make our dreams come true, and that as we have creativity in us, as we have intelligence in us, I feel like we have every opportunity to move forward in anything that we set our minds to. And I believe that we are just as capable of excellence in whatever we decide to do as anyone else. I have never thought I was less than, never, ever. And so I think that we should just forge ahead and, you know, to borrow from Nike, just do it. Just do it.
What I love is that I have a couple of people that are not from Chattanooga. If you are from Chattanooga, raise your hand. If you actually are from Chattanooga. All right, so I actually have 4 natives. If you are not from this beautiful scenic city of a place, raise your hand. So I'm interested on the people that are actually, and Angie actually isn't from here, and she said that, but I'm interested in hearing from someone that's not from here. And how do you feel about being a Black woman in Chattanooga and America? What does it mean?
Well, I'll add to the conversation. For me, it's one of those things where I feel like there's a huge opportunity for us as Black women to be able to stand up and be proud of who we are and what we represent. I think there is a large amount of opportunity for us to be seen in the leadership space, whereas we have not here in Chattanooga, not to the level that I feel like we need to be, because we have some amazing women, us included, and we're just a small group that's represented, but I don't know that our voice has always been heard or been at the table where it needed to be. And so for me, I personally feel that we're underrepresented wherever we need to be in certain spaces. And so this is our moment to be able to stand up and lead the way and be bold and unapologetic in regards to where we are as a country, but more importantly, where we are here in Chattanooga and how much farther we need to go.
You know, and I'm going to actually agree with both of you, because I feel like this is the time. I've never felt less than, but I have felt lonely. I have felt like I'm alone and I'm by myself in a room. And somebody outside of Chattanooga, I was working with a agency, and I'm not going to say who it was. And I was trying to explain to them what Chattanooga looks like. And I've had this conversation with Dion a lot. I said, sometimes I'm the only one in the room. Sometimes it might be 2 Black women in the room at a board meeting. And I asked Dion, I love talking about this. This is my favorite Dion story. I asked Dion, I said, Dion, and I was just being honest with her. I said, you always invited places. Like, how come I can't come? And she said, Donna, most of the time I am the +1. So I ask you guys, how does it, you know, as a Black woman, and maybe I shouldn't just say in Chattanooga, but sometimes we are the minority. So how does it feel to be the minority in Chattanooga?
Yeah. I'd like to make a comment.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yvette, you go then, Robin, right after that, please.
Just to add to what Val said, I think that our voice does need to be heard. I moved here from Charlotte, big, metropolitan city, lots of Black professionals, spaces all over for people to do things, to network, to connect, and came to Chattanooga. And the first thing I heard, I'm a relationship builder, and I'm a person that's gonna find where all the Black people are, but also where, the energy is. And so I came here and people would say, oh my gosh, they were just shocked that we were in leadership positions. And I thought that was so strange and odd, just coming from, another place that plenty of, African Americans in leadership positions all over. And so it's so ripe here, though, in Chattanooga for us to find a space, get in it, and just flourish. I mean, there's just lots of opportunities. I even talk about Chattanooga just as a city, that it's got so much to offer, but it's just not, I don't know where the fires are, where you can just jumpstart some things, but there's so much here. It's a great little city, and it's ripe. And our, history speaks to bold African-American women who have just paved the way. It wasn't an opportunity, they made one. So, we could do that here. There is a lot of very talented, very professional women. And it's just, the time is now, really. Just do something, do it. I want to find that spirit or that place where I can do something, entrepreneurial. I don't have that yet, but I would love to do that here in Chattanooga.
Thank you, Yvette. So I'm gonna go to Robin.
I'm gonna try to find my points. I agree with everyone. I definitely agree with Angie, but I promise you guys, I'm a fun-loving person, but sometimes I gotta be a realist. I know there is opportunity, and I have never felt less than, but I have been viewed as less than. And so I am very aware of that while I work. My hairstyle, I like burgundy, but I'm very I tell my beauty, don't put too much in there, because I have to walk into the office, and I'm very cognizant of when I speak in meetings. I'm very cognizant that my voice is raspy, I'm tall, and I'm loud. So in meetings, I try my best not to seem as aggressive, because I can voice my opinion and someone else will say the same thing, but I am viewed differently. So I don't feel less than as a person, but I know that I am viewed less than, and I know that I have to have more education than others. So I'm very aware that in most areas, I am the only Black person in the room or in the department. So I'm very aware of that. So although I hold myself in high regard, I know that sometimes I am not viewed that way. So I'm aware of that as a Black female here in Chattanooga.
And I had a conversation. Brianna, go ahead.
I think for the majority of my life, I've felt less than, and that's not something that's easy to admit, because the expectation as an African-American woman, as a mom, is to carry the torch. You got to be strong. You got to be the rock. You got to show up, and no matter how you feel or the emotional roller coaster that life takes you on, that's not an option. You show up and you show out because you have people that depend on you. And I think I've lived the majority of my corporate life under an immense amount of stress of trying to outperform colleagues that I knew I was more prepared in the room, but didn't necessarily get heard as much. So I'm just now coming into, and maybe, Donna, is this why you invited me? I'm coming into an age where I'm like, listen, this is what I got. I'm proud of it. I'm comfortable in my skin, but I can't say that I've always felt this way. I've had immense stress my entire professional career. I'm trying to be the most prepared because I was going to be the young Black girl walking in the room.
Thank you. I'm gonna ask this question. I was having a conversation with one of the ladies yesterday, and I was trying to think about the first time that I experienced racism. And I told her, I said it was when I was 38, but I have to go way back. I'll never forget a time when I was doing marketing for a particular nonprofit, and I was actually 24 years old. And I will never forget, the leader said to me, and it might not have been racism, you guys may say it might be a form of prejudice, but I was actually on the air representing the organization. And she says to me, wow, you did such a great job. You looked beautiful. You were very articulate, and you are so smart. And recently I received a text that said, you are so beautiful. You are so articulate. You are so smart. And one more little tidbit. My son told me yesterday, he said, Mama, it's funny how things turn around, how God reminds you of stuff. He said, Mama, I don't like sometimes when people come up to me and be like, what's up, brother? He said, because I feel like there is a little bit of prejudice. And I said, Brandon, stop saying that. You can say, what's up, brother? So I'm at the park the next morning with my mom, and somebody walks up to me, yo, what's up, Donna and her moms? I said, whoa. So I ask you, when was the first time that you felt prejudice? And have you ever been called, you are so beautiful and articulate and smart, as if you are not expected to be that way? Am I alone? Can I?
So Donna, go ahead.
You are not alone.
I got three, like all y'all rolled up at one time. Okay. I'm gonna go alphabetical order. I hate to do this. Dion.
Okay. I'm gonna take the articulate one first, because that makes the hairs on my arm stand up. It absolutely bothers me when someone refers to us as articulate, as if they're surprised. And I correct them every single time. And I always say, well, what else would she be? Or what else did you expect from me? Because that's how I was raised. That's how I talk. And so to be surprised by it, and to take your racism one, I really don't know the first time I really felt racism, but oftentimes I would always hear, well, you're like one of us, or you're not like everybody else. And I'm looking like, but I'm the only sister in the room, so how am I like everybody else? So I can't really say that it was racism or prejudice, but oftentimes it would just be like, oh, you're just one of us. You're like us. So take that as you will.
Erica, thank you, Dion. Erica.
Racism. I was at Red Bank High School, and I wanted to be in the advanced program for English. I wanted to be in that class, and I was told I had to go to the counselor to ask for that. And so I went, and my grades showed that I could be in that class, but the counselor was very clear and said that I would not want to be in that class, that it probably would not be a good choice for me. And I kept thinking, okay, so are my grades bad? And then she kind of whispered and said, there's not anyone in there like you.
Wow.
And I was like, what? I couldn't understand that. Like, it threw me off. Now, my mama, she clarified some things, but I was totally confused by that. And that was the first time that I think I honestly realized how people see me. And then as I got older, as far as with articulate, I took Toastmasters. I took speech class. My mama didn't let us say crazy stuff at home. She was constantly, correcting us and telling us to go look up the word. Same thing I do with my kids. They're grown now, but my daughter has the same thing. She said it the other day, Mama, they said I sound white. They said I sound proper. And she's 20. So after I did the city video, I was out and this lady came over to me. I'm trying to eat, but she came over and she's like, hey, you're that girl from that video. Poet. And I'm like, yeah, you're so smart, so articulate. What school did you go to? And I was just like, a regular one. Where you go? Where you go? So and it gets worse than that, because there's also that weird thing about the beauty part, you know, wanting to touch you, wanting to touch my skin, wanting to, oh, your skin's so pretty. What do you do? That goes into another whole level of how I'm being seen, or how Black women are seen. If they can't explain what we are, then they just try to, you know, put us in a box of some sort, a special box. She's articulate, she's beautiful, instead of us just being what we are, naturally, amazing. And let that be that.
Thank you, Erica. LaQuisha.
Yeah, so I have a similar story. I remember, I'm from Memphis originally, and so I remember I actually was in the advanced placement class, and we got a new teacher.
Oh, you made it? You actually made it, LaQuisha?
I made it. I made it. But we got a new teacher in the middle of the year, and the reason I remember this is because it was also one of the very memorable moments that I have of my mom showing up for me in a major way with an authority figure, because this teacher was just, I mean, it was visceral. Like, she was, you know, she said, you know, I didn't belong in this class. I felt like all of the tests that we had were graded, weighted. They were weighted. And I felt like she put so much weight on, there were never multiple choice. It was always essays. And so there was no real objectivity. So like, I felt like she was grading me harder. And I overheard her tell someone. And so I remember telling my mom about this situation, about the lady saying that I don't belong in the class. And it was an advanced placement class. And my mama was a whole mama. Like, she put her employment with Memphis City Schools to the side, and she showed up for me. And y'all, I was in high school. I think I was in maybe the 9th or 10th grade, maybe. And she, you know, she showed up for me in such a major way. And so I remember that moment, and I hold it very close, because we are taught that we're not less than, and you belong in these spaces. And so when I showed up in Chattanooga, though, I remember my first racial incident. It was on the air at a local station that shall remain nameless, with a white VJ. It was not you. It was a white male VJ. And I was there to promo. I was working for Hamilton County Schools at the time, and I was doing a promo, y'all, for like a family fair or something like that. He spent, of our like 5 minutes, he spent 3 minutes talking about my name and asking me what kind of racial stereotype. We're live on the air, so I can't really react. And I'm new, Brianna, I'm probably around your age at the time. I'm trying to figure out, like, how do I spin this live on the air and not lose my job today? Because I was just trying to get people to come out to the family thing, right? And it was the first time that I was like, Chattanooga it's a different kind of beast for me. And so I made it known. Like, I wanted people to know. LaQuisha, say all of it. I'll sign it out. We can wait. I'll wait 5 minutes till you get my name right. Like, however long it takes for you to get it phonetically sound, let's go there. Let's do it. Because this name means something. It means something because I mean something. And so if it takes you time to learn it, LaKWESHIA.
Wow. Elizabeth. I'm going to ask Elizabeth, Shawani, Alexis. You guys are quiet, but I'm going to say this. How are you managing your emotions and dealing with work at the same time? That's a question Val gave me, and I asked the fellas. I asked the young guys this and what they said. Let me tell you what the young guys said. I love them. They pretty much said to me, we believe in going to counselors. We believe in meditation. We believe in prayer. They were like, we believe if we got to cry, we got to let it go. When I talked to the guys that were a little bit more seasoned, we manage our emotions pretty good. I mean, we're good with it. You know, they're not going to see us sweat. So ladies, I'll start with Elizabeth. How are you managing your emotions? Because you're a community leader. How are you doing that?
I have done extreme self-care during this time. Quite honestly, my emotions have been up and down like a roller coaster. It has been such a grieving process for me that I have done and adopted what I do when I'm grieving. So when I lost my parents, I remember I did more journaling, I read the word, I did more yoga, I did more walking, I was transparent with my friends and family, I cried, I screamed and hollered, I connected with people in my circle. I've just really decided that during this time, because it's a loss, and that's how I feel. I feel that I'm mourning, so that I've just disciplined myself to work less and care for myself more.
You said something that was very interesting. I'm gonna toss it to Shawana, is that for me, it's felt like I've been grieving. Have you felt the same way?
Absolutely, beyond a shadow of a doubt. I feel like I've experienced every emotion possible. And I do agree with Elizabeth, self-care, extreme self-care. I have had to disconnect from social media. I've had to completely shut the world off and out because I couldn't deal with it. I could not handle what we all saw. I couldn't grasp it. There was something within me that just would not let me grasp it.
Can I go here with you? Mm-hmm. Because somebody's watching and they're saying, why does she feel like that? Why?
Because it's another one of us. And I am tired of seeing us. I know how hard we have worked as a race, as a people, to get to where we are. And yet and still, in 2020, it's still us.
Yeah.
We're still being oppressed physically. We are still being oppressed financially. We are still being oppressed. It is 2020. These are the conversations I had with my great aunt, who was born in 1918 and lived through the Depression. These are things, these are questions I asked them. What was it like? My parents and my family are from Mississippi. I'm from here. I was born and raised here. But I had those conversations with them because I wanted to be aware of what it looked like for them. And in 2020, it feels exactly the same. It feels exactly as what they described to me when we had those conversations.
When I think about the leaders and just even looking at you guys, like how beautiful we are as Black women, you know, from natural hair to crochets to sew-ins, wigs, locks, you know, scarves. We're beautiful physically, but we have so much to give to the world and I think with you saying you talked to your great aunt, it reminds me, I was raised, a lot of people don't know, I was raised by my mom and grandmother. And I would remember my grandmother sometimes just sitting in silence, just quiet. After she's fixed a meal for her entire family and spread it out with 10 grandchildren. And I would just see her so strong, but meek sometimes at the same time. I'm gonna go to Shawani because Mo had a lot to say. He's a man of few words, but when he speaks, we listen like Gandhi. How are you supporting your husband during this time? And what does that conversation, how has it looked like before?
Wow, that's a powerful, loaded, and excellent question. I think for me, and I think everyone can speak to this in terms of having a spouse, an uncle, a parent, a brother, a cousin, a son who is a Black male. And for me, I know what he deals with on a regular basis every day. But to be honest, I think last week I went out for a walk, and I know there's a lot of runners in this group, but I found myself like memorizing the license plate of cars that slowed down. I found myself looking around. I found myself not intentionally running, to try to catch and see, okay, let me cross the street and let me see if that car is going to turn. And to have that level of awareness that and maybe you all have felt this as well, that I was just constantly, as Moses kept my head on the swivel, that I just did not feel comfortable. And I was just walking on the perimeter of campus. So I came home and I told him, I said, this is what you face every single day. And I think for him as a 44-year-old man, he has adapted and he's very intentional to focus on his self-care. He's the first one to say, Shawani, you know, if something happened to you, you would be replaced tomorrow. So don't give the world your everything and then come home with nothing. And so that's something that we constantly work on individually and collectively. And for me, race is a public health issue. And so I talk about it in my classes. I'm asking my students to think about things they've never thought about before, because it's connected to where you live, where you work, where you play, all of those things every single day. So to not be able to separate that, for me, specifically being in Chattanooga for almost 7 years, Donna, when you asked that question earlier about how we feel in this space, is that now I do not look for my job to validate who I am as a person. We know that we've worked hard. We know that we have these credentials. We know that we've gone to school. We know that we've sacrificed. We know that we've taken jobs in other cities. We know that we're sometimes the only person at the table. And because that's so much racial fatigue to have to justify your presence, I do not look for my credentials, for my employer to justify who I am. In this space already, I feel present. So if I don't say anything else, I feel whole today.
Wow, thank you. Alexis, you know, you are a proud mom. You are like you said, you are leading the biggest incubator. You are going to work, you're showing up. What are you instilling into your daughters as a mother? What conversations are you having as they're getting older or even through this situation to build them? Or to be transparent with them during this time, or in general?
Yeah, I'll start with two conversations that I had with my oldest, Boom. One was an incident that happened at school where with the substitute teacher who she mispronounced a word, or it's a word that it was like tomato. And so Boom turned to her classmates in their little huddle and she was like, is that how you say it? You know, kind of hush hush. The teacher called her out and said, Riley, that's a government name. A lot of people don't know that. They just call it Boom. But Riley, do you have something to say to the class? And Boom, being my assertive child, said, yes, I think you mispronounced that word. The teacher got flustered and then she said something that made her uncomfortable and she kind of retreated. Then the teacher came back with her cell phone. You know how you can Google a word and it'll play how you say it. And she shoved her phone in her face and said, see, you can say it like this, see? So when she brought that to me, and LaQuisha, I was listening to you and I was like, I wonder if Boom feels like I showed up for her in this moment. Mm-hmm. But I emailed the teacher and I said, hey, can we talk about this incident? And she called me and she said, well, I had a conversation with the substitute teacher and she said that Riley was being disrespectful. And I said, was she being disrespectful or assertive? Because the way we show up culturally can read differently than your culture wants to receive it. So the second incident was today, or last week, Boom was like, Mom, people keep saying Black Lives Matter, but all lives matter. And I said, well, you're right. All lives do matter. But let me give you an illustration. And someone told this to me and I repeated it over and over. Just because I say, save the whales, does not mean that I don't care about the dolphins. It just means that the whales right now are endangered and we need to allocate resources and put our minds together to figure out how do we save the whales? And she was like, so we're the whales. Yes. But all the fish in the ocean are important. All of them are important to the ecosystem of the ocean. But right now, we need to focus on the whales. She's like, oh, okay. Now, I hope that she repeats that with her friends. And she's a little bit more mature. This has been me and her for so long. You know, I feel like sometimes I'm in the house with my aunt instead of my daughter. But we just keep an open dialogue. She sees me showing up to work every day on Zoom or on, you know, I'm working remotely. I'm not in the facility as much, but I've been working 40 plus hours and quarantine with a 12 and a 2-year-old and buying a house. And I'm an aunt to a brand new nephew and, you know, and still having to show up, and I get weepy. You know, I cry in the shower or in front of my girls. I don't hide any of that from them. And she'll say, Mom, you're kind of snappy today. What's the matter? I feel heavy.
Right.
I don't let her watch any of the videos and things like that. I haven't watched the one with George Floyd, but I have talked to her about the Amy Coopers. Yes, I have, because Mommy has had experience with Amy Coopers. Okay. Back to your original, the second question about what is it like here in Chattanooga? Sometimes it can be isolating. And I went to an all-girls prep school here in town that I was one of 4 people of color in my class. There were 99 of us. So at the time, I didn't have the words microaggression, passive aggression. I wouldn't have even called these girls racist. I still can. I try not to throw that word around. But looking back, I realized, dang, that was really messed up when so-and-so said that. You know, more recently, I was on a board, I will not call it, but we were at one of those big luncheons, and I sat down at our board's table, and the lady next to me looked at me and she said, oh, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm here for the luncheon. She said, oh, you're affiliated with the organization? Yes. And she said, well, what do? Do you work in the warehouse?
Wow.
And I said, actually, I'm on the board with you. My name is Alexis Willis. Nice to meet you. You know, like, I could have used that as a teachable moment for her, but there are times where I'm very cognizant, much like how Shawani is looking around while she's running, is like, I don't want to look like the angry Black woman.
Right. I want to ask you guys this, you know, diversity and inclusion. I have some representatives on this group that's doing that here. I think about D&I. I think about how we are receiving so many texts and emails and apologies during this time. I don't know if you guys have received a text or apology. If you have, raise your hand. I've received several. During those apologies and while we're protesting and people are out here posting on social media, do you think this is temporary momentum? Do you think this is a temporary fix to the problem? Will this end? Is this an opportunity for people to learn from this? Is it temporary? I'm gonna go to, let me see who hasn't spoken. LaQuisha, you wanna talk?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, so the preacher in me wants to say everything on this side is temporary. So that's a disclaimer.
Amen again.
Disclaimer. So everything is temporary, to just kind of throw that out. But back to my original word of humane and humanity. There are a lot of people right now, like I got the text on the day, and I'm just going to be, we're transparent on this call. I know it's going to be public, but I made a statement because one particular day I got 12, and I'm not exact, I got like 12, 13 messages. And I was like, man, like the white girls must have had a meeting last night because I got a lot of messages. And I was like, and so initially, right, your initial reaction is like suspicion. I think just because it was the number that came through. But immediately my mind went to the other side, not from a place of carrying somebody else's weight, but recognizing that our counterparts are in a place too, and they don't know what to do. And I was trying to explain it to someone the other day. Some people are showing up out of their guilt. And this is what I've said to people. This is the one nugget that I'm giving to white people in my life. Don't be Sally Struthers in this moment. We do not need Sally Struthers feed the children in this moment.
Right.
In this moment, your support looks like showing up to your peers,
Yep.
taking the time to educate yourself on the truth, not being indoctrinated by media, not being biased, but like taking the time. There is so much about each other that we don't know. There's so much. The word tells us that we have to dwell together according to knowledge. You don't know me. I don't know you. We need to actually get to know one another so that then we can agree on things and we can walk together. But until that happens, yeah, it is going to be fleeting.
You know what? I didn't know what to say when I got the text. I didn't, because I didn't want to come off harsh. You know, I'm just being really transparent with you guys. I like call LaQuisha, like, what do I say? Like, I mean, I don't, because I'm angry. I'm like, all I want you to do is be. And one of the biggest asks that I've asked with people around me, whether it's personal men in my life, whether it's my friends, if you love me, show it. So show, just like you're cheering on everything else. You love the balls, and you know what I mean? You love taking your kid to basketball practice. I want you to show me you love me. Now, that doesn't mean during this time period you got to show me. But every single day, if you love me privately, baby, love me publicly.
But you have to say that you're angry, Donna, too. Like, that's the other part of this, guys.
Well, LaQuisha, you got to understand, when I don't know these people.
Oh, you have strangers messaging you.
I got people that I see maybe once a year. And so I can't say, girl, by the way, I'm angry. Then it's going to be like how Robin said, oh, she angry. That's expected. I don't want to be that.
So Donna, I know you and I had this conversation a few days ago around, you know, just the emotional piece and how I think one of the things you said to me was like, Val, you seem so calm.
Val is calm. Good morning. I'm like, good morning. Did you see that video?
And really, it's just one of those things like, and this is what I was explaining to Donna. It's like, I'm in a space now that I need you to show me. I don't need you to tell me how you're feeling and, you know, try to empathize with me in the moment because of everything that you're seeing in the media and all these public statements that are going out. I need you to show up and put action behind your words. That speaks volumes to me. So going back to kind of that word that I opened up with around where I'm feeling in the moment, it is that unapologetic. Like, I'm on a number of boards in town, and these boards have put out statements or planning to put out statements. And so of course, you know, they come, a few Black people on the board and say, well, what do you all think about this? And can you offer some feedback on this statement? And so the unapologetic part of me steps up and says, well, if you truly are standing in this moment and you truly are standing behind these racial injustices that are happening across our country, be bold. Be bold and say that in your statement. But if not, then there's no point in putting out a fluff statement around, and you know, we want a community that's going to come together and blah, blah, blah. It's about standing against racism. It's about standing against deaths that are senseless and that should not be occurring in the Black community. And then it's about putting action behind that. And so for me, what keeps me calm and level during this time is to say, okay, how is this going to play out for you? How is this going to play out for us? Because I know where my advocacy stands and I'm in this thing for the long run. And so I'm not going to get all emotional and upset and angry on a phone call when somebody calls and says, hey, Val, how are you doing? I'm fine. I'm doing good. I'm making do. We're going to get past this. And this is what I'm doing and da-da-da-da. Now you tell me what you're going to do and let's have that conversation. Let's get past all this. I'm sorry. And let's put some action in place because that's what it's about. And sustainability of that, not for the next 6 minutes.
Right.
It's how is this going to sustain itself? So let me pull back and get off of my preaching moment.
Oh, Val.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Can I give the entrepreneur's perspective?
Yeah, I will come right back to you. I think Shawana was getting ready to say something, and then I'm gonna.
Listen, I was just gonna say, Val, I want to be like you when I grow up because I think I got a couple of text messages on the wrong day last week. I was like, baby, listen, I'm just gonna like it, and we're gonna move on. I'm not gonna respond to especially when I've seen your posts on social media and I know where you stand. You wear that MAGA hat regularly. Mm-hmm. I'm good, sis. I'm good. You just keep doing you, because I'm going to do me. Let's be clear. I'm going to do me. I'm so sorry. I had to get that out.
You know, Brianna, I am going to come to you, but I do want people that are listening to know this, because I tried. Val knows I tried. LaQuisha knows I tried. Angie knows I tried. Elizabeth, you know I tried. So I'm coming in. I said, it's the next day. You know, talk to Val, talk to LaQuisha. I'm ready to go into the meetings. You know what I mean? And how you doing? That I'm great. Fine. You know, I got it. Next thing you know, the passion in me, I bawl. And what I had to realize is that Val is great at doing it her way. LaQuisha is great at doing it her way. Angie is great at doing it her way. But what I had to realize, I'm doggone great at doing it my way. And that's who I am. And so the people that are watching, I want you to know this, and I want you to know it very well in the most loving way. All sisters do not think alike. Just because you have one sister that might be in the room, they can't speak for the entire African-American race, and it's okay. But we do have one goal in mind. We do have the same goal, but we don't think alike. We're different. And that's what I love about being a sister. You might see me at this hair today, and you might see in my natural poof tomorrow. That's what I love about us. Go ahead, Brianna, then I'm going to Yvette.
So to kind of describe where I'm getting at with this conversation from an entrepreneurial perspective of how it feels to be a Black woman in Chattanooga, as well to your question, Donna, is this a temporary movement? And the momentum will die down. It is very clear that the size of the marches, there's a lot of ebb and flow with that. They come and go. But what I want out of this is more flow of information. As an entrepreneur, I've always reached out for resources. And I can say that this is the first time as an entrepreneur, I've been able to receive those things. And so what I thought before was, maybe I'm doing this form wrong. It's never been a capacity issue. Like, I know how to express and articulate the wants and how this is justified and how impactful these resources will be allocated if entrusted with me. But it was an access issue, you know, and truly it's about people. If you want to make a change, release the power. And that's the difficult struggle. I don't need a like. Don't share a post. I don't care how many times you hashtag Black Lives Matter. Show me that you can release those powers. And if you want a step one, I'm A-type. Give me a list and I'll follow it. You know, I don't like things that are vague. You know, be impactful, civic engagement. Tell me what you want, and I can express that. What I want in Chattanooga from an entrepreneurial perspective is more allocation to minorities, and those minorities should not include, for the time being, white women.
Right. Thank you. I want to, Dr. Yvette, you work in education. I know Shawani works in education. I think a lot of us have had an opportunity to work with young minds. Elizabeth works in education. You know, what do you want the world to know about us as Black women and us as future Black leaders that we are grooming for the next generation? Like, what do you want people to know about our new leaders and who we are? And Robin in education, the whole crew.
What a big question, Donna. I want people to know that we are smart, intelligent, we are very resourceful, that we are resilient, that give us something and we make magic. It's gonna be great. Just give us an opportunity. You know, I just want people to really understand that there shouldn't be any barriers or boundaries or false expectations about what can be. Give it to us and let us show you. That's what I believe for kids, that you limit their possibilities, then they'll rise to that. If you have high expectations, they're going to rise to it. You need to push towards excellence all the time. You need to always understand or feel like that kid is going to be the next president. That kid is going to be the next leader. That kid is going to create the next, cure for something. I mean, should be no limitations, or you should not say they can just do this or they can just do that. There's so much that a child can do if you give them the opportunity, or you put the tools in their hand.
Yvette, I get so much, and Robin and Elizabeth, I want you to tap in. Shawani, you can tap in. And I'm gonna talk about education, then I'm gonna jump into a counseling moment with my counselors and leaders there too. So I'm coming back to y'all. I'm trying to get everybody in. We hear about, I get the question all the time, but what do they need? What can I do right now? What can I do for young Black boys? How can I help? How can they help? What do they need? Because I know Val talked about in the workplace where we can be. Brianna talked about as an entrepreneur, but what do our young boys need, Elizabeth? What do our young girls need?
I'm blessed. I'm at Chat Prep, where we've got 150 amazing young Black and brown boys. And our kids, our children need examples. They need to see people who look like them, who have succeeded. They need people who will pour into them, who will love them, who will encourage them. They need what we all need. They need love, attention. They need to know that the world is theirs. They need us to share with them that there are opportunities and that we can protect them and get them where they'd like to be. They need us. And I think that's the beauty of being, when I said inspired, my word is inspired. On Saturday, many of us here on this call had a chance to be with children who led a march around everything that's going on in our community and our world. Right. And that's what inspires me, that it's children who are going to take the leadership mantle, and they are charged and inspired and ready to do that. That's where I'm encouraged. That's what I enjoy seeing. All right. That takes from me the heaviness of this moment away, our children.
And as Yvette stated, that excellence is in Black and brown educators and administrators, but we've always been here, and Robin said this and others have said this, that opportunity has not always been afforded to them. So we've always been educating when we were allowed and not allowed to do so. So we've been here and been present, and so that excellence is there. And like Elizabeth and Yvette said, we have to show the younger ones. I know they're with my little people. I need them a little bit older. So those college age students are looking for that level of visibility. I'm still having students in 2020 where I am their first Black professor. They've had from pre-K to college who are from the state of Tennessee and have never had a Black educator in any form or fashion. That's a problem. And we are here, we are present, we are in these programs, we are graduating from these programs, but like others have said, that opportunity and that level of visibility, I cannot stress enough. Students are going to come to a Chat Prep or to a UTC or another institution because the children, whether they're kindergarten or in college, they see someone that looks like them. So that level of visibility is essential.
And to piggyback after Dr. Shawani, I work with older students. I taught middle school for years, and now I work with older students. And I worked in 2 departments, and to this day, I started with nursing and nurse anesthesia, and those students still come to me because I look like them. I can relate. So although they've moved on to other professors and other advisors to help them, they will still email Miss Robin, can we still meet? And I will still guide them through the process. You have to be present. That is what they need, someone that looks like them. And it does, it helps them. When they see you there, they see that you've, air quote, made it. they need that. And they need for us as people of color and those who are not of color to just throw out your preconceived notions about them. That's one thing that I've experienced for those who are not of color, preconceived notions. I remember I was working on my resume and I was talking to a friend. I was like, well, should I put that I graduated with a 4.0? And she looked at me and said, well, if you're gonna lie. And I was like, I'm not lying. I graduated with a 4.0. I don't. So it's just, so your preconceived notions, how we are so articulate, so you kind of assume that I just kind of pedal through my education. So we just need to throw out the preconceived notions and just have limitless, like Elizabeth said, just put no limits on them. Let them know that they can be whatever and do whatever, and you just have to plow through. That is what we are doing as Black women. We're just plowing through, just making ways.
So I'm going to ask, because I know I got to be a good steward of your time. We have been on this call right at an hour, but I do want to make sure that I end asking each of you something very special. But I do want to jump to Angie really quickly, because she is a counselor and she counsels, she loves Black men. Well, we all do, but she loves to talk to Black men. And if they were watching right now, if they are, because they're going to, what encouraging words would you give them during this time while they're watching so much hate and insensitivity? I could keep going on. Just finish the sentence, because I'll take us to another place.
Well, I think what I would say to them would be the same as what I would say to all of us watching and all of us on this recording, is two things that I tell clients in conflict resolution, whether it's in a career setting or in a marriage relationship or in a friendship relationship. Number one would be to guard your heart. The Bible says guard your heart because out of it flows the issues of life. And so when somebody comes to you, let's say we have got this momentum going, we know that there are opportunities, there will be an other side of this, then don't let the momentum stop because somebody said something crazy to you. Let those, you know how people say, let those words roll off like water on a duck's back. Well, I give clients this visual, like just watch those words just fall to the ground and don't let them sew on your heart. Like, oh, this is some crazy words you said and there they go, you know, because I don't let foolish words sew on my heart. And number two is you give the people back their stuff. If somebody says something crazy to you on the other side of this, whether it's a racist remark or something they're trying to make right that sounds a little bit foolish, then, or Alexis, you know, the opportunity that you had for the teaching moment, you know, well, here's a script that's an option for you and for all of us, for Black men especially. Help me to understand why you feel that way. Right. So then the burden becomes on them. Search your own heart and with your mouth, tell me why you feel that way. Tell me why you said that about me. Help me to understand. The burden is not ours to explain who we are. We just show up and it happens. And I believe that that is the mantra that we should have. But when somebody comes against that, let those words fall on the ground. Don't let them take root in your heart. Give them back their stuff and say, help me to understand why you feel that way. And I would say that that would be for the African American community at large, that is how we should position ourselves and put the burden where the burden belongs, because we're here and we're here to stay. We got a lot of creativity. We got a lot of gifts. So get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. That's what I would say.
That's why I keep you in my Rolodex for all the young people in my cell phone. All right. Well, I am going to ask you guys this question, you ladies this question, and this is your final question of the night. First off, I got to say thank you, thank you, thank you. My word is thankful. Thank you, God, for giving me this opportunity through such a trying time and give me the gift to remember that I can communicate with people and bring forces together. Thank you, God, for that, especially on my birthday eve. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So Angie started it. So the question is, How do we move forward? How do we move forward? And how can we inspire the world? Because I don't like to say just white, because it's not just white. It's our Hispanic colleagues too. It's our Indian colleagues. How do we move forward collectively? And what is next? I'm gonna kick it off with also quiet Dion today. Dion, how do we move forward? And what is next? You there?
So, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, my internet is getting unstable. Well, this is the first step toward moving forward, especially as you talk about coming together collectively, having these open, honest conversations. That's really what's needed. And in terms of next steps, we just keep moving and pushing the momentum. My favorite quote is, I want to inspire people. I want someone to look at me and say, because of you, I didn't give up. And I tell my kids all the time, I can show you better than I can tell you. I'm going to keep doing what needs to be done. And if you watch me, I'm laying out the path. I might not be able to walk you through it in my words, but I can do it in my actions. So I say we just keep showing up and keep moving forward, and people will see what it takes.
All right. Thank you, Dion. Shawana.
I say take full advantage of this opportunity. We are all powerful women where we are, both professionally and in our personal settings. We have platforms. We should continue to use those platforms and probably use them even more so than we have. And those are individual things that we can do. But when we all do our part individually, that impacts everyone around us and even more collectively. So I would just say, do your part where you are. I'm a big fan of staying in my lane, if you will. So being at the DA's office, the criminal justice side of things, I've already started mapping out things that I can do to help those who have either been incarcerated or who are facing incarceration. I underestimated the power of being at the DA's office. And it took all of this for me to say, oh, wow, I probably haven't been doing enough being in the position that I'm in. So I'm grateful. And that's where my fearlessness comes from at this point. Be who you are. I love that Angie said what she said, because I am who I am. You all are who you are. Everyone is who they are. And there is something amazing amongst all of that that makes all of this work when we all do our part.
Thank you. LaQuisha.
So I think everything everybody said is definitely what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. But one of the places that I feel we have to get to is a place that I talk about frequently. I talked about today with a group of people. We have to be willing to be disturbed. As Black women, a lot of times we aren't conditioned to say we don't know. We aren't conditioned or positioned to say we don't know, because more often than not, we get asked for the answer. We get asked to solve the problem. We get asked to patch up the Grand Canyon and the Hoover Dam with a piece of Hubba Bubba and a clothes hanger, right? Like those are the kind of we don't get simple asks. Those are the asks we get. And so I think for me going forward, the thing I would share with a woman that's listening right now is take the moment to pause and feel the place. We sometimes keep moving so much because we don't want to feel. We don't want to feel it. Because if I stop for a minute, if I stop for 5 seconds and look, it's jacked up sometimes. Like, it's like, oh my God, this is, and we know that so many people are on our back. I think I would say to my sisters, don't feel that love is strapping everybody on your back and swimming across the Atlantic. That's not what love is. because in your display of love to other people, you're killing yourself. You're putting a impossible weight on you. I heard Brianna, I teared up for a second hearing you say, because I remember being in that place that you described early on. But the weight that you feel can be lifted. It can be lifted, and it can be lifted because as your mind is transformed, then you start to conform to a different way. We were wired to win. We've been programmed to fail. Unplug. Get reprogrammed with the word and watch the peace that surpasses all understanding.
Quisha. Oh, wired to win. Oh, come on now.
Robin.
Yeah, great. Let me follow behind that. Okay. Moving forward, they are going to get this black girl magic whether they want it or not. Okay. Shoving it down their throat. I'm going all in. All right. So I came to a realization last week for some people, I'm never going to be good enough. All my degrees. Hey, how are you doing? And good morning. And make sure that my hair is not too curly or too red. And talking, just so articulate. I am not going to be enough for those people, and those aren't my people. So I don't care anymore. So just moving forward, I want to take some time to make sure that my heart is in the right place because it is upsetting and it is easy to get angry. So I'm going to step back, make sure that the faith I sing about at church and that I go when we're giving out food, that I put my foot in and believe in it. Now is not the time to waver with my faith in the Lord. Now's the time to show him that I believe you. You said it's going to be tough times. I'm going to anchor in that. Now is not the time for me to turn my back on him. So I'm just going to show up, keep having these conversations, do what I can to work on me and then help others. But I need to make sure that my heart is aligned and that I'm not coming out of a place of anger. I need to come out of a place of love and look into it and just accept some things as they are and just try to move forward.
Thank you, Robin. Shawani.
So I thought about moving forward is it's important to be present and on purpose every day where you are with all your Black girl magic. And then what's next is continuing to focus on our self-care, because I know I'm guilty of not being consistent about that. So I think that's important for all of us as we move forward in this movement, is to continue to adopt these new habits that we've had the last couple of months and still focus on our self-care, but making sure we're bringing others with us. So those are our white cousins, our Latino family. Like, we need to make sure that all people are included in this movement as we move forward.
Love it. Thank you. I had to write a list out like I'm a teacher so I don't forget anybody. Yvette.
I would say be active. I would say capitalize on your strengths. Whatever your strengths are, give it to the world. So don't just sit by and just let things happen. Be active, be involved. Find places where you can thrive or that you can influence and do that. Your question about is this temporary? It will be if we don't stay on it. It took a long time to get here, so it won't take a short little time to be done. So staying on it is pressure on all the time, showing up. If they don't expect us to be there, we need to be there. You need to really engage and find places where you can use those strengths, use those gifts to impact and influence, because you are going to influence more than you even know. Someone's gonna see you or not expect to see you, and it's gonna be impactful. And just because you're there or involved or engaged, you're going to influence someone else to do something or to take further action.
Thank you. Alexis.
Hey, is it my turn?
It's your turn. We still got some more Black girl magic. I love it though. I love it.
Well, I think that because of the current events, conversations have been expedited. I don't think this is just a season. I think that momentum will be determined by us. I have never felt like, again, I can't remember who said it, feeling like this is the most heard that they felt. I feel like we're in a Kairos moment that's going to catapult us to where we need to go. I mean, look what happened in Minneapolis with the police in like a matter of 2 weeks. I think we need to keep going. I think self-care is important. I told my 9 to 5 today, don't call me tomorrow or any other day this week unless the walls are falling down. I'm tired.
Right.
I'm tired. Do not call me. Don't. You know, and we're having some pretty active conversations. I mean, and I have to not let my frustration get in the way because I've been saying some of this stuff that I'm saying in these conversations, but because of the climate, I'm now like, excuse me. You
don't want to say I told you so, but.
I was just about to say that. I don't want to be like, I told you so, but I am like, hey, we have an opportunity now to explore, you know.
It goes back to, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. You can't say I told you so.
And there's someone on this call, Val is the one who told me, Alexis, you know, sometimes we're a little passionate and it can come across strong. Maybe you should say it like this. That's why I got y'all in my corner. That's why y'all part of my tribe. Right. Angie too. Angie told me way back in the day. Okay. So I think that we will continue momentum, but I do feel like it's up to us. And I know it's always up to us, but I don't think we should take for granted this Kairos moment.
All right. Erica.
Hey, you know, I've been out marching and I've seen the momentum. I've seen it grow. I've also seen the possibility of where we can go. I hope that, I know that I agree with you, Alexis, this is not a season, that this is something much bigger than, if for countries, other places are unifying behind the movement here, that speaks heavily to the trajectory. As Black women, we are some of the most powerful beings, and we can use that to will. Donna Elle, can I share what I wrote real quick?
You know you got something for us. I would love to see your face, though. I'm just gonna tell you.
I've had tears, so I don't know. Y'all don't need to see all that. Y'all don't need to see the ugly Oprah cry. Y'all don't need to see that. Y'all don't need to see that part. So I wrote this while you guys were talking, and it was based on the words that you guys said. All right. A day in the life of a Black woman. She has to be strong and fearless upon awakening, even though she may have cried herself to sleep. Praying over kids and her husband, sons be safe, daughters be safe, husbands be safe. Thankful when they return. Heavy days confetted with trying not to be what they think we're gonna be. Worried about the space that we take up, we must be more. Brazenly true, unapologetically Black. Are we even being heard, even though we're speaking loudly? Waiting on the next, protective of our brown skin, moods of inferiority, but knowing that we are most prepared. Angry that we have to keep explaining why we are amazing, fighting the good fight, staying focused despite despair. Wanting to protect the Black man. We birth nations, we birth new leaders. We are inspired and we are inspiring. We nurture a new generation of power, and they better get ready because we're here to stay.
Girl, you got all of us with the ugly face. Erica?
It's just based on how I heard y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are reasons, things happen for an absolute reason. And today was really heavy for me. And to be able to sit here with you ladies is lifted a load. And I'm so thankful for that.
And we are thankful for you. We are all thankful for you.
And as Carmen Davis says, Black girl tired. I swear, I'm so tired. I'm tired of explaining why I'm angry. I'm tired of, and that's the weird space. We want to be angry, but then you don't, like, I just got away from being the angry Black lady. So the moment I'm angry, am I back over there being the angry Black lady again? And I'm not. I'm frustrated. I want to protect Black men. I'm a mother of a 24-year-old son. I have 3 grandsons. I'm protective of them, very protective of them, especially as they grow. And we have a different message that we have to tell our sons.
Right.
A totally different message. Be careful, be safe. We have to tell them to be quiet. I need you to come home. I'm telling my son that yesterday, Lyric, he's in Nashville, but I need you to come home, son. He's been out in Nashville doing the most. That would be my child. And I've told him, I need you to come home. I need to know that you're safe when this is over.
I need to look at you. I need that phone call every hour. I need
Absolutely.
Every 30 minutes. Do not leave at a certain time. You can't drive at night like you normally do.
I have to keep telling them. Absolutely.
Mother. And what I want people to understand, and I'm glad you brought this up because I didn't have a chance to do it, as a mother of a strong, educated, confident, fearless, beautiful, young Black man, to have to worry about, and this is just me being very transparent, I want to hear his voice every morning outside of this situation. I did this before.
Right.
As a mother, to go and to be in a work environment and to be the only sister that's there, and to be able to get out of that work environment and reach out to my mom and to my friends, we need that. We need community as Black women, as Black wives, as Black sisters, as Black mothers. I'm a single Black mother. I can never teach Brandon how to be, that I'm a daddy. I can never teach him how to be a man. He's had to figure a lot of that stuff out for himself. And sometimes as a Black woman, you have guilt over that because you want to always oversee your sons. You always want to cradle your babies, but one thing I do know, don't take the tears as weakness.
Right.
One thing I do want you to know, as a mother of a Black man, my son is strong and driven and motivated and has a mama in his corner. Because all of us are touching Black men.
Yeah.
You know, Erica, you just sparked something because, you know, I know it's hard being a mother of raising a Black child, period. But when my son leaves that door and he doesn't answer the phone, he doesn't know I'm reaching out to him because I want to make sure nobody's pulled you over.
Right.
I want to make sure that people are not talking crazy to you at work.
Right.
And if they're talking to you crazy, what are you saying? Because I don't want to have to roll up like LaQuisha's mama did, even though you're 24.
Right.
And I will.
But I will.
With my beautiful, educated, Black, strong woman of herself.
Yep.
With no doubt. Okay, we're going to segue. I got to get out of this. Y'all got me crying in here. And I was doing good. Who should I go to after this? I'm going to go with, because I see her face, I'm going to go with Elizabeth Williams. Where do we go from here? And how do we move forward?
Thank you, Donna. Thank you for bringing us together. I think we want and need more of this. So I think what's next is more connection, more support, more, of course, of the self-care that we've spoken about. But when I say more connections like this, I think this has been so powerful because we've needed this time together as women, as Black women. we've needed to reinforce a lot of these messages that we already know, but we see modeled in every woman that's a part of this call tonight. It's a beautiful reminder. I think what's next is us doing more of what we're currently doing, but with more resilience and more stamina, right, because we've taken better care of ourselves. Angie, I love what you recommended about letting that roll and letting it just go. I'm going to be using that. Many times when these microaggressions come my way, Donna will tease me because I'll say in response, interesting. But I think I'm going to just let it go, or depending on the situation, give them my reality. And I think what this situation has reminded me of is how important it is sometimes to just confront things that we're experiencing, not to hold it in, but to address it. And so I'm hoping that going forward, we'll be reminded of how powerful tonight is and how these connections are so important and nourishing for all of us.
Thank you. So the order I'm gonna go, we're gonna go with Brianna, Val, and then Angie is gonna take us on home. Brianna, what do we do? What do we need to move forward?
I really want to emphasize like the impact of this. I mean, Elizabeth said it well, but you know, there's 13 women here. There are 13 families, and oftentimes we overextend ourselves. You know, my advice for this group is, you know, I know the term influencer is super saturated and diluted in the age of social media, but that's what everyone here is. Everyone is an influencer. And they should use that influence for their microenvironments. You know, there's therapists here, there are administrators, there are entrepreneurs, there are therapists, and make an impact in your small world, because, you know, the 12 of you impacted me, and the majority I didn't know before this, but I feel connected to you. Right. I feel like I'm ready for tomorrow. I'm ready for those conversations, because if nothing else, I feel supported. Right. You know, there are people that I met tonight that I think I could call on and support me no matter the circumstance. And if we can do that in our own smaller environments, imagine the circle of influence and the trickle down effect that will have. You know, so the next step for all of you, everyone here, including myself, is to not to overextend yourself. You're powerful, you're doing the right thing, and it's enough, you know?
Right. Right. Thank you, Brianna. Mrs. Armstrong?
Yes. So, to not repeat a lot of what's already been shared, because I agree with everybody, I think it's about remembering your why, digging down deep inside in the conversation that we've had tonight in regards to why this is so important to you, and remembering that pivotal moment. I think back to my why, and mine was when I was 19 years old and I was working as a cashier in a grocery store, and it was my first time that I experienced racism. And it was on a Sunday. I'll never forget it. We didn't sell alcohol in Georgia on Sundays. And I had an older white man to come through my line, and I could not sell him the alcohol. And he took his anger and his racism out on me. And in front of the entire store, front store, he yelled at me and called me, "You nigger." Mm-hmm. And in that moment, everything froze for me. 19 years old, innocent, never been in that type of situation before. And all of my anger wanted to come out in that moment. And what I would say is that everybody around me that worked in the store, not Black, but white, management, they came up and diffused it like that. Removed him from the store, banned him from the store, surrounded me, and did what they needed to in that moment to make me feel supported and loved, because I looked at them as my family. And so that's my why personally. And so I say, be the change. That's something that I share all the time. Be the change that you want to see in this world. So determine what your why is and be that change on a daily basis. Do not miss teachable moments. Do not allow teachable moments to pass by, because when you do, that is saying that it's okay. And being able to address a teachable moment doesn't mean that I need to be the angry Black woman, but it means that I need to call you out on it. And I need to show you why this is a teachable moment. It doesn't matter what that situation is, but take time to pause and address that. And as we move forward, think about what your protest is in regards to how you're going to execute that protest. It doesn't mean that you have to be marching down the street. It doesn't mean that you have to be surrounded by a lot in order to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish. Your protest is simply you saying, I'm going to stand up for this, and I'm not going to fall for anything in this space. And I'm going to continue this course, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how challenging it gets, and no matter how tired I get. I'm going to continue to press forward, because, you know, I can't expect more of them than I'm willing to give of myself. This is a long-term journey for us. And it's something that I keep in the front of my mind is this is a marathon. Right. It's not a sprint. And we're not going to get there by being the fastest ones. Slow and steady, but impactful change is what is needed. And so I say, be the change. Don't forget your why, and keep those teachable moments out front.
Thank you, Val. Last but not least, Angie.
Well, ladies, I just want to tell you that I have appreciated so much being on this panel with you, Donna. Thank you always for the invitation. But I want to give my little 2 cents as I affirm us as women. You know, as a Christian counselor, I talk about this a lot, and I have a lot of women that I see. And the one thing that I tell them is that we are different because we're not men, but we are woman, which means womb, a man. Well, the difference between us is that we have a womb. So when you have a womb, what does it do? It births. Now, we all know biology 101, so we know that a womb births children, but a womb also births vision. And I have come to believe that there is nothing in this earth, whether, of course, as children and human beings, but creativity and things that happen in the earth that bring life and light, you know, apart from just being a human being, or the creativity that those human beings have within them comes through a woman. So we need to understand who we are. When woman came on the scene, she had 4 things. She was protected, provided for, nurtured, and celebrated. That never goes away. And we are the only creature that has 2 heads that can operate. We have a head that's God and a head that's man if we're married. And if one of them acts up, we're still covered. So know who you are in your womanness, that those things are afforded to you, so you can show up in that confidence and be confident and be strong and be bold in your creativity and in your femininity. And these are the promises to us. The Bible says his promises to us are yes and amen. And those 2 promises are, you are the head and not the tail. And where your feet trod, you will possess the land. So wherever your sphere of influence is, just go and be. When we show up, we change the atmosphere. It's okay if it's 1 or 2, because the atmosphere is going to change, period, because I'm here with all of my gifts, with all of my callings, and all of my glory. I'm here. So what is it that you need? So I think we have come to a place, because we know who we are. All of these women have spoken so eloquently in knowing who you are, and you're already operating in your gifts. Show up in your beauty, show up in your gifts, show up in your confidence, and just be, and all will be well. I believe that.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, ladies, I always got a challenge. So this is my ask of you, because I can't continue to bring us together in so many groups of having conversation without having a plan or an end goal. So the group that I talked to before you were young men. The next group after that, I'm going to talk to an entire group of educators. I'm also going to bring nonprofit leaders, a diverse group of nonprofit leaders together, not just Black, but all backgrounds. That is my goal, because I believe that it's cool for us to have this conversation alone and for people to just listen. But we wanted them to be in the conversation, and it's okay to ask us questions. We're not saying we're offended by you asking us questions. Feel free. We don't mind you asking us questions. So that's the next step. But I'm going to have a charge with you guys. You know another beautiful woman that's just like you. I want you to text her my number and say, hey, she should be next on the agenda, because you guys have a friend that should be a part of this conversation. You're looking around and be like, dang, Donna didn't ask this person. I want you guys to connect me with the next group, the next woman. Also, my goal is when COVID lifts, Lord, when it lifts, please let it lift. Please let it be gone. When that happens, we have an opportunity to all come together, because I believe a lot of us, there's so many programs. I heard the fella say, we got too many programs. It's time for us to start working collectively. And I would love to see how we can create a vision, because we don't need any new programs, any new educators. We need to figure out how we can work collectively to continue to move the next generations to come. I can't say it enough. You guys are beautiful. You guys are amazing. You all are my friends. You are wonderful. And I always say, I heard it filtered throughout this time, just keep showing up. Keep showing up in who you are, wherever you are, and be bold. And please continue to answer my phone calls, because I need y'all. And I hope y'all need me too. Love y'all. Thank you. And we just made history on this bad boy.
Woo. Amazing. Bye, y'all.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.